So welcome back aliens, this is Navin Reddy from Telusko Learnings, and in this video we'll talk about inner classes. Now what exactly inner classes are? As name suggests, if you have something inside something, so let's say we have something and in that we have something that is called as inner, right? We know about inner methods, inner if conditions, we know about inner loops. So we have all those concepts, right? And this is inner class. So if you have a class inside a class, it becomes an inner class, right? So let's say we have a class A, and in this class A, I have a class which is B. Okay, so we have two classes. In class A, we have class B. So this class B will be called as inner class, right? Now there are different types of inner classes. So in total, we have three classes. The first inner class will be called as, let's say it is a member class, or which is a non-static class. The second one is a static class. So first one is non-static, second is static. And the third one is anonymous inner class. Okay, so we have member class, member inner class, we have static inner class, and then we have anonymous inner class. So we will see how to use this in this video. So we'll start with the first one, which is member inner class. So let me just move this. Okay. So let's say we have a class here. So let's go for a class. Okay. And in this class, we have the name of this class is again A, and we have so we have this class A. Now in order, so let's say in this class A, we have a variable which is int I, right? Now this variable is a static variable, right? So this is non-static variable, right? Which is instance variable. In order to use this variable, what we need? So here, so let's imagine we have one more class in which you have a main method. So that's a different class in which you have a main method to run this class, or to execute this code. So this is your main method here. So this is your main. Again, we have static arguments there, but that's not the issue now. Now how to use this I here? So what we can do is we can create object of A. So we can say A obj equal to new A, right? And then we can say obj dot I, right? So we can say it is obj dot I, and we can assign some values. Now the value of this I is 5, right? So that's how we assign values, right? Now, so that's a non-static method. But let's say instead of I, we have a class here. So let's say we want to use a class which is B. Now class B is the inner class of class A, right? So we have class B and class A. And in this class B, I have a method which is, let's say I have a variable which is J. So this is int J. Now how to access this J? Because J is not part of A, it's part of B, and B is a part of A. Now I cannot access directly J with the help of object of A, right? So we have object of A which is obj, but the problem is using obj you cannot access J. So what we need here? So to access J, we want to have an object of B here. So to get an object of B, we can say B, and we can say obj1 equal to new B, right? That's how we get an object of B. So we have class A and class B. But the problem is this class A is a normal class. This class B is an inner class, right? So in order to create object of inner class, first you have to specify that what is this B here? Because no one will be able to find your B there. Because as soon as you compile this file, so let's say we don't have B, okay? We just have class A. In this scenario, in your package, in your folder, you will be getting, after compilation, you will get a class which is called as A dot class. So there will be a class which is A dot class, right? So this is a byte code for the class A. Now since we have, let's say we have one more class here which is class X. Now in this scenario we have two classes, right? So we'll be having one more class called as class dot X dot class. So we have one more class. But now even B is a class, right? But this class B is inside A. Now you cannot have B dot class. So what we will have here is we'll be having A dollar B. So it will be A dollar B dot class. Okay, because B belongs to A. So in order to access B, we need to mention that this B belongs to A. So we have to say this is A dot B. So B class belongs to A. But what with the object? The thing is, when you work with the object, you cannot say that it is new, if you're assuming that it should be new a dot b, then that's not the case. Okay, this will not work. So in order to create object of b, what we need is we need object of a. Example, I is the instance variable, right? In the same way, this class B will be instance class of class A, a member class of class A, right? So we need to use object. So we have to say obj dot new B. So we have to say obj dot new B. That's how it works. So that's how you get object of member, right? It's that simple. So that's how you can use a member in a class. So the next one now. So next is static inner classes. Now what is static inner classes? A classes which is inside a class, but it will be a static class. Now how to get that class here? So instead of having, let me just go back to that obj 1 dot j equal to 5. Okay, that's how you can assign value to j now. If you're wondering why, how to access that, so we have to say obj 1 dot j equal to 5. Now you can access this variable. That was the topic of member classes. Okay, now come back to static inner classes. So if you talk about static inner class here, how to make a static inner class, just mention a keyword called as static. Okay, now you know what is static keyword, right? If you don't know static keyword, just go back to my tutorials on static keyword. You will find that in description area or on the left side of the window. So you will find that how to use static variables. So if you know what is static, so you can make a class as static now. Now the advantage will be you don't require object of A to access B object now. Okay. Now how to do that? Let's say I don't have object of A. I don't require object of A now because we have a member which is static. Okay. So let's imagine if I make this variable as static. Now how to access this I? We can simply say this is A dot I equal to 5, right? It's because a static variable. You can access static variable with the help of class name. In the same way, in order to create object of a static inner class, what we can do is we can say it is A dot B, okay, because, okay, let me just, so that's A dot B. We can say this is obj1, or we can say any object of B. Now we have to mention that it is new, and again we have to mention it is A dot B. No need to use object of A now because it is a static class. If it is a member class, then we have to use object of A. Since it is static, we don't require that object of A there. So that's how we create. That's how we use members inner class and static inner class. Sounds good, right? Again, how to do all this thing practically, I have a video on that. So once we're done with the theory of this, we can talk about the practical implementation in the subsequent tutorials. So it's a whole series we'll talk about only inner classes. Okay. So we have this is a member class and we have static class. Now the last one we'll talk about is anonymous inner class. That's my favorite. So anonymous inner class is not something in this way, it's something very different. So let me go with anonymous inner class now. So let me remove all this thing and even this part. So now you know, right, how to use inner classes. So that's why I've removed everything, and let's only talk about a class now. That's why it's not. Okay, that's weird. Anyway, so now what we'll do is we'll create a class, okay, and this is a class, let's say this is a class, maybe phone, okay, so we have a phone class, and inside this phone class we have lots of methods, right? So let's say we have a method which is public void show, okay, so we have this a method inside your phone class, okay, or you can say display, or you can say call. Let's imagine we have show, and this show print. So I will simply say sys out. Okay, I'm a bit lazy to type everything. So I will say sys out and I will print hello, or not hello exactly. This will say I can call. Okay, so using phone you can call, of course, right? So we have this call method, or we have this show method which prints call. Now how to call this? So we have a main method here. So let's say this is main. Okay, so let me create two sections here. So we have a main here, and this main will be able to call this show, right? And how to call this show? So we can create an object of phone. We can say phone obj equal to new phone, and now you can call obj dot show. Sounds good, right? Now let's say I don't want to go for the default method. I want to, whenever I call show, it should print calling, it should print SMS, it should print camera, it should print music player, because nowadays phone is not a phone, right? Phone is a combination of all the devices you need. You need a camera, you have a phone. If you need a music player, you have a phone. If you want to call someone, you have a phone. If you want to message someone, you have a phone. So your phone does everything, right? Not just call. So what we can do is we can create a new class, and we can name this class as smartphone, because you can do multiple things now. And in this smartphone, you will be having a method which is again public void show. And now this show, if I call this, it will print sysout. Now this will print call, this will print SMS, this will print maybe camera, right? So we have lots of features in one phone, right? So whenever I call show now, it will print phone. But I want to change the implementation. I want to have the same, I want to go for the same phone reference. Okay, so what we can do is we can simply say extends phone, right? That's how you access inheritance. And instead of this phone here, we can write a smartphone, right? And now if I call show, it will print this method, right? And this is method overriding, so this is polymorphism. So we are overriding a method of base class, right? So that is method overriding. Now what we want, so the whole class, we are creating this whole class only to override this method, right? Now why to do that when you can use something called as anonymous inner class? Now how to do that? So let's say I don't have this class, okay? I'm not creating a new class only to do that. What I will do, let me take this main here, okay, just to, so that I will have a bigger area. So I have this class phone, and I want to call show, but not with these, it should not print call, it should print something else. So I have a main here, again main, and now let me call, let me create object of phone. It's not pub, it's phone. So it is phone p equal to new phone. Now I don't want a default implementation, so I don't want to go for the default implementation. It should not call, it should not print call. What we can do is we can just provide the brackets here itself. Is it possible? So what we are doing, we are first creating the object and then providing the implementation. What we should do earlier is we used to first create the implementation and then create the object, right? And now what we are doing, we are first creating the object and then creating the implementation. And that is what I say is, when you have the implementation and then you create the object, it is called as, or when you have a class and then you create an object, is called as invention, because first you are defining something and then you are creating the object. But there are some objects which are already there, right? So if you have an object and then you are providing the implementation or the discovery of that, example, if you talk about mobile phone, so first someone has thought about the concept, and then now we have the object, right, which you can hold. But what about those dinosaur bones or all those things, you know, all Asian things which are already there? What we are doing now, we are discovering them, right? So it's just like having the object initially, and now we are providing the implementation. In the same way here, what we are doing, we have the class, we are providing the implementation now. Now this is a class, right? So this is a class here, and how to provide the implementation? Just write this method here. So we can say public void show, okay, and in this you can write sysout. So we can say sysout, and we can print call, we can print SMS, we can print all those things, right, all the features. And now once we got this object, if I say p.show, now this p.show will not call this method, this p.show will call this method, right? And that's the advantage of using a class which is inside a class. Of course, right, main will be inside a class, right? So this class is inside a class, and this class doesn't have a name, right? So we don't have a name for this class, and that's why this class is called as anonymous inner class. Sounds good, right? So we have a class which doesn't have a name and which is inside a class. So how to create anonymous inner class? use a reference. So define the type. So it may be an interface or it may be a class. Define a type, provide the reference, and then say new that type, that the constructor, and then define it by providing curly brackets. And again, how to do that? We have the implementation. So the thing is, you should understand the idea behind it, and then you can go for the actual practical things, right? Now where it will be used a lot. So let's say we don't have a class here, we have an interface. So imagine this phone is not a class, the phone is interface. So we'll say this is interface phone, and we have a method called as void show. Now how will you provide the definition? So what we have to do is we have to create a class. That class will implement this phone interface, and then we have to implement a method which is show, right? That's what we do. Here we don't have to create any new class. We can provide the anonymous class to it. Okay, so we are saying it is phone P, which is the interface, new phone. That's possible because why we cannot create object of interface is because we don't have the implementation. What we are doing, we are providing the object and then we are providing the implementation, and this thing works. Awesome, right? So if you have something like this will work. This is called as anonymous inner class. Okay, now how exactly it works, that we'll see in the practical thing. So I hope you got the idea about inner classes. So we have member inner class, we have member inner class, static inner class, and then we have anonymous. Okay, now if you want to just learn about inner classes, that's the end of this video. But hold on, if you want to know about the new features in Java, which is in Java 8, you might heard about something called as Lambda Expression. So what we'll do is we'll try to convert this example into Lambda. Okay, if you are very new to Java, if you are learning this concept for the first time, which is inner classes, then stop the video and then continue with the practical. But if you know about inner classes, the main thing you want to learn is about Lambda, then this is for you. Okay, now Lambda is very new to Java 8 or Java concept. It was introduced in Java 8. Now how to use Lambda here? Okay, so what I will do, I will just remove these extra things here and let me just rewrite everything in a proper way. Okay, so we have a phone here, which is phone P equal to new phone, right? So we have this phone P equal to new phone, and I'm providing the implementation here. It's because this is the interface, right? And we have to write public void show, and then we have to say sysout. Okay, sysout, and then we can provide, we can say SMS, we can say call, we can say camera, and we can say lots of things, right? Now if you observe this code, think about this. If I say, let's say you have a class, don't see the code now. If I say there's a class called as A, and if I ask you to create the object of A, what you will do? You will say A obj. For you, this is it. A obj equal to new A, right? That's how you work. So if I say, let's say we are not talking about class now. Let's say if I give you a statement, card C equal to, what will be on the left side or what will be on the right side? You will say it is new card, right? Of course, if you have card C on the left side, if you have card C here, what will be on that side? It will be new card, right? Of course, you will write this thing. So that means this code is extra code, right? This is boilerplate code. This is extra code. Why we should write that? Now what next? In this interface phone, so this is extra, right? This thing is extra. We don't want this thing. Anyway, we have to write it. What about this method name? If you have an interface, of course there will be a method, right? And this method here, which is show, this is again a boilerplate code. We should not write this. This is common sense. If you have show interface, of course it will be show, right? Public void show, right? So what if we can just remove this boilerplate code? And how to remove that? It's very simple. Just remove, we are removing this curly brackets here. There was a curly bracket here. We are removing that also. Now since we remove this curly brackets, we have to remove this one also. We have a semicolon, we have a bracket here for this. And we are not using this statement here, and not even, okay, it's very weird to have all this thing. Okay, now you can see what we have. We have phone P equal to, we have this round brackets here. And we have to define that this round bracket defines a method, okay? That's a method name, which is show. We don't have to write the method name, we just have to give a bracket, round brackets. Now this definition belongs to this method, and to do that we have to use a expression which is arrow, which is a lambda expression. And trust me, it works, right? So we have removing all those things, right? Now one more thing. Since we have only one statement, right? What we do when you have if, so let's say we have if condition, in that we have only one statement. What we do? We remove the curly brackets, right? And we can also remove the semicolon. What we have? A round bracket, arrow, and system.out.println the statement. That means if I take everything in one line, what we can do is we can say it is round bracket. Okay, that's a round bracket here, and then it's an arrow. Then it is sys out. Again, you have to write the full thing, and we can say call, we can say SMS, and we can say all those things. That's it, right? This is how you can provide the implementation. We don't require to provide the whole full block, but it only works in Java 8, okay? Because Lambda expression was introduced in Java 8. That means we don't require all those things, and that's how we can create anonymous inner class using Lambda expression. Now you will say, what's the extra things? What are the advantages for this? Will it save your memory? Will you spend? It is only saving the number of lines, or it will also save your memory. For that, you have to watch my video on Lambda expression in this series. So I guess it will be last video in the series, or for the 5th video in the series. So make sure you watch all the inner classes videos so that you will understand how Lambda expression works. Now this is very important if you're an Android developer, if you are going for Hadoop programming, because Lambda will be used everywhere. And it's not just only in Java, it is there in all the other languages like Scala. In fact, in C# we have this concept. Okay, so that is inner classes for you. So thank you so much for watching, and make sure you subscribe to the channel for further videos.